Good evening, fellow doctors. Welcome to this webinar on atopic dermatitis, a guide to help you understand in depth the three important remedies for it. It's really a pleasure to connect with you all. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Ishma Nizam. I did my BHMS from Father Muller's Homeopathic Medical College, Mangalore. Virtual homeopathy is an attempt to help out students and beginner practitioners understand and learn therapeutics thoroughly. You must be wondering why therapeutics? I was a rank holder in college, but when it came to setting up clinical practice, I struggled. I literally struggled. And I want to bridge the gap between theory and practice. And you can do that if you understand the therapeutics in the right way. That is what I aim to do with virtual homeopathy. Materia Medica and therapeutics is the most important knowledge you require while making a homeopathic prescription. And selecting the best simillimum is the fundamental step towards curing your patient. Of course, you have to understand organon and philosophy. They outline the governing principle. But the thing is, once you understand these principles, you are done. Even if the case is a respiratory case or a digestive case or neurology or whatever. But which remedy to prescribe? That is the real dilemma. Should you give bryonia, or sometimes you wonder if Rustox is the simillimum, or you are stressed if I should give gelsemium or pulsatilla or ipecac. What to do? That's why I stress on therapeutics. How is this webinar going to be useful for you? The obvious benefit is, of course, you're going to learn about atopic dermatitis and the remedies for it. But there's an added benefit. I have been connecting with many of you via DMs on Instagram, and one common problem all of you have is difficulty in understanding and remembering Materia Medica. Another problem is a lack of quality education in colleges. So, in this webinar, I'm going to teach you a method whereby learning and remembering Materia Medica becomes easier. Now, this is not an entirely new method, but we often forget to apply this in practice. So, I'm going to help you learn and adapt this method. And I hope to make a difference in your life. You are the future of homeopathy, and believe me, building a successful homeopathic practice is not easy. It takes lots of your effort, and the first step towards it is learning therapeutics. So, what are you going to learn from this webinar? There is a saying, give a person some fish and he can eat for a day, teach him to fish, he can eat for a lifetime. So, what I am going to attempt today is help you understand some of the remedies of atopic dermatitis. Actually, three remedies. When you say atopic dermatitis, it has several presentations. So, a patient may have one of the presentation or a group of presentation. And even if it is one or many presentation, it will also vary from person to person. Some of these patients will have other complaints along with dermatitis, maybe asthma, maybe acid peptic disease, maybe osteoarthritis. So I'll be explaining some of these. What complaints exist along with the in what remedies. Though I am now talking in pathological terms, homeopathic prescription is about individual and unique totality of the patient. So keep that in mind always. And I will also be sharing some cases as and when necessary. So be prepared to take some notes. All these information are from books and my clinical experience. And let's get started. At first, a brief look into the symptoms and complications of atopic dermatitis. Two facts about atopic dermatitis. One is atopic dermatitis is a chronic disease. Not only is it a chronic disease, it doesn't run a regular course. Instead, it has periodic flare-ups. So there will be periods of flare-ups, then some remission, flare-ups, remission. Another fact that you already know that is it may be accompanied by asthma or allergic rhinitis. Moving on to the symptoms, atopic dermatitis can occur at any age, but is more common in childhood, or it could start in childhood and then last through adulthood. Imagine bringing a relief to that patient. That really would be something. Now remember all these presentations of atopic dermatitis. The most obvious presentation is of course the dry skin and the skin itches. And the itching is really worse at night. Now there may be patches on parts of the body, different parts of the body. Another type of eruption you see is small raised bumps which may leak fluid. That is, it is not dry, it is moist, and then this fluid will crust over when scratched. Another presentation is thickened, cracked, scaly skin. Another one, raw, sensitive, swollen skin from scratching. Now, all these presentation can be present in a single patient in various parts of the body, or there could be exclusively one type of presentation. Asthma and allergic rhinitis cannot actually be called complications. So, we are now moving on to the complications of atopic dermatitis. Because sometimes asthma and allergic rhinitis may start before dermatitis, and in some it starts after the dermatitis have really settled in. So, yeah, you could call this a complication. With dermatitis, there is constant itching, so the skin develops cracks or breaks. So they are at a risk for secondary infection. Secondary infection is in fact a major risk factor for people with atopic dermatitis, and you should be prepared to make changes in your treatment plan and deal with it when such a case arises. Chronic itching and scratching can really cause a change in the structure of the skin, and this condition is called neurodermatitis. It develops when you repeatedly scratch the skin. What happens when you repeatedly scratch the skin is the structure of the skin changes and the skin becomes thick and leathery. Another complication is disturbed sleep cycle. The constant itching and distorted skin can affect the quality of life. So, disturbed sleep cycle is really disturbing. Now, these were the key factors of atopic dermatitis. Now, let's begin with the homeopathic treatment part. Before I move on to therapeutics, I want to say three important reminders regarding dose and potency. You cannot treat or cure atopic dermatitis with just one remedy throughout, unless it is an acute onset one. You will have to change the remedy whenever there is a flare up, or when a complication develops, or the patient develops some other disease in between, or when the symptom changes. It is always better to administer a single remedy internally, and the safe potency is 200. But in children or people with good immunity, higher potencies in single dose without frequent repetition works well. 50 millismol also works, but I do mostly 200 or higher. When the patient develops acute complaints and need acute prescription, you will have to give an acute remedy. But when you give that remedy, take care that it doesn't cause an aggravation. So the three remedies I'm going to present in this webinar are sulfur, graphitis and Restox. So I hope you are as excited as I am. And let's begin with sulfur. The number one symptom you have to know about sulfur is the dryness. The skin, the eruption, they all are dry, and I will talk more about it in the coming slides. There are 5 symptoms you have to remember in the skin complaints of sulfur. One is skin looks dirty and filthy. Why is the skin looking dirty in sulfur? Now I will tell you about it after I tell you the next few symptoms. The second symptom is there is intense itching at night. I told you one of the symptoms of atopic dermatitis is intense itching at night, and that symptom is present in sulfur. Itching is also worse by washing or bathing. Let's say water and sulfur do not go hand in hand. If there is only a small patch of eruption, then washing it causes tremendous itching. If there is dryness of the body, then bathing will increase the itching. So night and washing or bathing is a difficult time for sulfur. Next symptom is burning. Now the intense itching will cause the patient to scratch. The patient scratches and it causes burning. I have seen the terrible itching and scratching of sulfur. It's really terrible for the patient. Can you guess why the skin looks dirty? I have already mentioned in the symptoms of atopic dermatitis about neurodermatitis. That's what happens here in sulfur as well. With this terrible cycle of intense itching, what happens is neurodermatitis. The skin looks hard and leathery, discolored and disfigured. I've told you washing and night are aggravation for sulfur. Warmth is another aggravating factor for sulfur. Not only warmth of the bed or warmth of the room, but when the patient becomes warm after an exercise or going outside, the all starts for itching for sulfur. So now you know the major features of sulfur, and as you can see, as you already know by now, that sulfur has all the characteristic features, the typical features of atopic dermatitis. The dryness, intense itching, the itching at night, warmth, and then burning sensation, even the neurodermatitis, that all that you see in atopic dermatitis, those classic symptoms are present in sulfur skin. I hope this is clear. Now, what do the eruptions in atopic dermatitis of sulfur looks like? One is the dry skin with patches, the classic presentation of atopic dermatitis that I've already told you. Second is the skin disfigured due to constant itching and scratching called neurodermatitis. Then another is sulfur syndicated in secondary infections. Cracks develops in folds of skin and there is a chance that they may get infected. You must have read in book that sulfur is indicated in suppurations of skin. Here again it denotes a secondary infection. Need not always be cracks, there could be open patches as well. What general features do you find in atopic dermatitis cases of sulfur? Now, patient who needs sulfur usually present with digestive complaints. Let me straight away tell you the two symptoms, they are present in more number of persons than the others. And the first one is my patient tells you my appetite is good, but I have to eat my lunch fast before 12 or I start feeling weak. You know that sulfur has a weak empty sensation in the stomach before 12. Now the patient may not tell you this right away. Ask them about the appetite or ask them if they have some stomach complaints and they may tell you this. Now the second symptom is the sulfur patients, they have either constipation or in some cases diarrhea. If the patient has constipation, then there is a chance that they have fissures as well. So hard stool, burning pain and itching around the anus, those are the three symptoms you will find in such patients. And if the patient is having diarrhea, it's usually morning diarrhea and it is painless and the patient has to rush to the toilet to pass stools. So these are the general symptoms that you normally find in sulfur cases. Some more general symptoms that may be present in certain patients. One is redness of lips and the face will flush easily. Another is redness of palms and feet. Third, the patient has very little perspiration. The patient has dry skin and very little perspiration. Sensation of burning is present in various parts of the body, like in vertex, in the area of eruption I have already told you, and then burning soles at night. A very important point to remember is that you have given several remedies, but the patient doesn't show much reaction, then a dose of sulfur is useful. Also, if the patient just had an acute disease and the eruption started after that, then again sulfur will be beneficial. But always in homeopathy, look for the symptoms. I have told you that respiratory complaints accompany or develop as a complication of dermatitis. In sulfur, you may find adenoids or polyps. As you know, yes, you should look for the symptoms again. So the symptom in adenoids or polyp of sulfur is nasal obstruction. There is no discharge. The nose is dry, completely dry, but there is obstruction. There may be scabs. One more thing is that this type of patient is sensitive to smell. They can detect the smell before others. I had one patient who came for migraine and she was very sensitive to smell. She could detect any odor before everyone. And she used to tell it very sensitively. It was irritating to her. Sulfur cured her and sulfur is one of the good remedies for migraine. So that's all about sulfur. See, like I said earlier, all these are nothing new. But when you rearrange it and make it meaningful, it becomes easier to remember it. Let me tell you a case of a 15-year-old girl who came with the complaints of small eruptions on her hands. On her hands, there were tiny vesicular eruptions and it was itchy. Whenever she washes her hands with soap, it started itching terribly. And when I examined her hands, her palms looked pinkish red. Even her soles were of the same color. Her lips were pinkish too. She doesn't have any other complaint, only the occasional seasonal cold or fever. And it is normal for people to not really be sick as you expect to be. She has good immunity. So now she has these eruptions and I prescribed sulfur 200. I gave her sulfur 200 single dose and placebo for a month. Then repeated sulfur 200 next month. Then one more dose after a month. So like that she took 3 doses of sulfur 200 and 3 months and it completely cured her. The second case is not as simple as the first one. This is a case of a 26-year-old female with atopic dermatitis since childhood. She has intense dryness of the skin on face, back of neck and upper limbs. These patches are more marked. And again, this case also has every textbook picture of atopic dermatitis. So naturally the textbook picture of sulfur. There is intense itching at night and also after taking a bath. She can't sleep at night. She would wake up several times at night, itching and scratching. In some parts, the skin has become thickened and dark. She cannot tolerate warmth also. She has to have the windows open and the fan at full speed, and summer is a terrible time for her. She also has constipation and fissures, stubborn constipation, more like it. She had already taken allopathic treatment and Ayurvedic treatment several times. Once, when she had taken homeopathic treatment, as her skin complaints began to get better, she developed asthma. Now she's on sulfur, and slowly she's improving. Not much aggravation till now, but it's going to take a long time. So that's all about sulfur. Let me tell you about graphitis next. There are six characteristic symptoms of graphitis. The most important symptom is, of course, its discharge. The discharge looks watery and it is transparent. That means it is clear, but though the discharge is clear, it is sticky. This discharge, this clear, sticky discharge of graphitis is very characteristic. This patient, unlike the sulfur, is chilly. Another complaint graphitis patient suffers from is constipation. The stools are large and difficult, but when there is history of suppressed eruptions, it is likely to cause diarrhea. Now, how do you know the eruptions have been suppressed? Yes, even homeopathic treatment can cause suppressions. We may think it was a cure, but it could be a suppression. So, when you take the case, you inquire about the past history, ask for the chronology of symptoms. Maybe the diarrhea started immediately after the eruptions disappeared. A healthy cure doesn't cause any other complaint to pop up immediately. Now, if the patient is a female, there is likely to be menstrual complaints. Delayed menses is the symptom. PCOD or fibroid or just delayed menses. Graphitis patients are likely to suffer from anemia. Coming to respiratory complaints, there is likely to be asthma, chronic asthma, and chronic hoarseness. In graphitis, rather than the type of eruptions, it is important to remember the locations of this eruption. So here now I'm going to talk only about dermatitis, not about keloids or any other eruptions. So in graphitis, look for eczematous eruptions in the following locations. What are they? Scalp, eyes, behind the ears, face and extremities. So these five locations, look for graphitis. When the eruptions are on head or the face, the patient has a sensation of cobweb. The eruptions are not dry, they are moist, and I have already told you about the character of the discharge. The patient, there is itching and the patient scratches and then the discharge comes out. The transparent, watery and sticky discharge. Have you seen this type of discharge? Possibly yes. And with the eruptions on scalp, there is a very bad odor. Though not directly connected with the eruption as such, there is burning in the vertex as well. The eczema is not in the eyes as such, it is on eyelids. The eyelids look red and swollen. There is not much any other special features. Behind the ears, here also you have the moist discharge. And on face, the eczema is on the nose and around mouth and chin. And extremities, there is offensive discharge. And always remember the character of the discharge, that is sticky and transparent. There may be cracks or fissures in fingertips and the nails are deformed. To sum up, in graphitis, always look for the location, character of the discharge and the associated complaints. In sulfur, what you saw was dry skin, lots of scratching, especially after bathing or washing at night, and the burning sensation. But in graphitis, there are actually moist eruptions. The discharge is watery but sticky and it is offensive. Always pay attention to associated symptoms. In sulfur, there is that empty feeling at 11 or 12 in the afternoon, the redness, constipation, etc. Think of graphitis in women with menstrual complaints and anemia. For a graphitis case, a case of a 45-year-old female, she had dryness and itching in her forefoot. Intense itching and scratching brings out a sticky discharge. She is chilly, cannot tolerate cold at all. She has menstrual complaints. Her menses is always delayed, not just recently, and ultrasound reveals everything is normal as such. She has weakness and is tired most of the time, and she also has a long-term history of ear discharge. Graphitis 200 single dose was given. Monthly doses like that were given for 6 months. The discharge was better and her menses also became clear. The eruptions healed. Ear discharges took more time and more other remedies to be healed. For the final remedy of this webinar, let's talk about Rus Tox. Till now, I talked to you about two deep-acting medicines, but now I'm going to talk about an acute medicine, Rus Tox. Though Rus Tox is a short-acting remedy, its value in eczema or other vesicular eruptions is unparalleled. I had a case of a neighbor's daughter, around 1.5 years old, came with the complaints of vesicle eruptions on scalp. I was a newbie doctor and my confidence level was really low key. And skin complaints, are really scary in the beginning stage. Now, I gave her Rustox 200 single dose and some placebo. She was also feverish and crying a lot. The next day, she had aggravation. The eruptions had broken open, and the temperature was more, and the child was crying even more and restless. Her relatives wanted them to consult a dermatologist, but it was Sunday, so they decided to wait that day. But by next morning, the girl was active again. There were no more discharge. The eruptions were still there, but it was dry now. So they decided to wait, and the baby was healed in a week. Thank God it was a Sunday. I mean, it turned out good for the baby, but it turned out great for me as well. It skyrocketed my confidence so much. I mean, when you're new, you give a medicine, you expect a speedy cure, and you start expecting. But when you gain experience, you know when to expect a speedy recovery or a slow recovery. Also, that things may not go as planned. The three important symptoms to consider in Rustox are intense itching, burning, and aggravation rest. Vesicular eruptions are the characteristic of the eruptions. In Rustox, you find mainly vesicular eruptions with intense itching. And when the patient is taking rest, there is intense itching. Night is again a bad time for eczema patient. Itching at night is there in all the three remedies I spoke today. After itching, there is burning. Besides the vesicular eruptions, Rustox also has another type of eruption. There may be no vesicles, but the skin appears red and swollen with intense itching and burning. I had observed a case of a 10-year-old boy. The skin on his forearms, hands, legs, and foot appeared red and swollen. There was intense itching and even painful. It was especially more at night. The attending physician gave him Rustox 30 single dose. He started improving, but he had to be given another deep acting medicine to complete the cure. Restlessness is, of course, a general symptom of Rustox, and the intense itching makes the patient extremely restless. The characteristic tongue may or may not be there in atopic dermatitis cases. If it is there, the tongue is red and cracked, coated also. There could be red triangular space at the tip, need not be always present. Allergic rhinitis is another accompaniment of Rustox cases, sneezing and dry cough. Actually, there may not be much general symptoms. Rustox, in other words, will help you tide over the acute symptoms. Sometimes, when you give deep acting remedy, the skin symptoms can flare up. Maybe the remedy was wrong or the potency was wrong. The skin can become red and swollen. This is where Rustox will help you. So there goes the three important remedies for atopic dermatitis. There are several other remedies as well, but that's for another day. Would you like another class? Please fill out the form I have linked below. I would like to have a review of how you understood this, how well you understood this class. I wish to know your reviews and what more would you like to know. So please do take time to fill out the form below.